Well, to talk more about the mounting diplomatic pressure on Israel, I'm joined now by Edmund Fitton-Brown. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies and the former UK ambassador to Yemen. Welcome to the programme. Thank you very much for being with us. So we've been talking today about what these recognitions mean for Israel. But in your view, what do they mean for the diplomatic standing of the United Kingdom and France? And why have these two leaders, Macron and Starmer, so unpopular at home, decided to take this quite drastic step now?
Well, they've done it in company, of course, Australia, Canada, and then you mentioned a number of other countries that are moving on this at the moment. In my view, this is a very bad idea. It seems to be largely motivated. I think the Labour Party in the UK and Macron in France are both hoping to get some sort of boost from this. I think they're misjudging it. In fact, I don't think it will do them much good, even in that respect. But what it will do is damage the reputation of both countries for being serious international leaders.
The government and its supporters in the UK have defended the move by saying that they are righting a historical wrong. Of course, that Great Britain had the mandate for Palestine before Israel declared independence, and they say that Great Britain should have recognised a Palestinian state back in 1948. They do seem to ignore the fact, though, don't they, that the Arabs have rejected statehood on so many occasions. Do you think they are not getting to grips with the true historical nature of the conflict, or is it something else?
No, I think you're right. I'm afraid their understanding of history sounds as if it's just as flawed as their understanding of current political reality. The idea that you could have recognized in 1948, what we saw, of course, was a series of Arab wars launched against the fledgling state of Israel. What would you have been recognizing in 1948? Actually, now that we are where we are, even if you are pushing for recognition, it's not on the borders from 1948.
And of course, if the state that they're talking about was to be recognised today, all of the holiest sites in Judaism would be in the Palestinian state. We're talking about Hebron, we're talking about East Jerusalem, because they are talking about the 67 borders. I mean, is there a lack of awareness there, or is this just something they're thinking that they will be able to rectify later?
No, I think they are showing a lack of concern for both for the Israeli people and also for the authority of Jewish, the fact that the Jewish worshippers would want to have sovereign access to their holiest sites. I mean, there is a complexity in Jerusalem. I think we would all agree with that. There is also one of the holy sites of Islam there, but this recognition doesn't help at all in that respect.
You mentioned Australia. The opposition leader in Australia has vowed to reverse the move if they were to come into power. Do you think that could also happen in the United Kingdom?
I think it's possible. Certainly, Kemi Badenoch has said that this is a bad policy, and I agree with her in that. I could imagine political changes coming in any one of the four countries I mentioned: Britain, France, Australia, and Canada. And the possibility of the decision being reversed. The problem, of course, is that this kind of policy, once you've adopted it, then you're making quite a big statement if you reverse it. It would have been much better if the policy had not been adopted in the first place.
There's been quite an outpouring of shock and outrage from the Jewish community in the UK, particularly that this is happening now on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, one of the most important days in the Jewish calendar. How do you think that this will affect the Jewish community in the United Kingdom?
Well, I'm afraid it will add to their feeling of being unsafe and unwelcome, which has been a sense that has been growing among many of my Jewish friends in the UK ever since the 7th of October 2023 and the sort of endless and vexatious demonstrations that followed it. I'm afraid that it is going to be, let's break down the things that the UK government has miscalculated here. I suppose that to have this happening on a holy day is probably incompetence rather than malice, but it's a pretty striking piece of incompetence. It's very hard to imagine that an equally controversial policy that affected the feelings of Muslims would have been announced during an Eid. So I think that is pretty depressing. I think that if you are a British Jew, you feel increasingly that the targeting of Zionism ignores the fact that the great majority of Jews outside Israel do feel a kinship with Zionism.
Edmund Fitton-Brown, great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.